Ella Carter stood in her dimly lit living room, cradling her baby Bump with a mixture of hope and anxiety. The walls were adorned with cheerful drawings her kindergarten students had given her, each piece a reminder of the dream she had for her family. A loving husband by her side, a safe home, and a bright future for her unborn child. But that dream felt increasingly distant as the days passed. She gazed out the window, watching the sun dip below the horizon, the fading light mirroring her own sense of loss. Her husband, Alex Carter, had been different lately, more distant, consumed by the expectations of his wealthy family and burdened by their judgment regarding her. They had been married for 2 years, but now Ella felt more like an outsider than a partner. The couple had decided on a spontaneous road trip to a family beach resort, an attempt to rekindle the warmth of their early relationship. As they pulled into the gas station, the summer heat clung to her like a woolen blanket, making her feel even more lethargic. Ella stepped out of the car, rubbing her swollen feet, and sighed, hoping this getaway would bring them closer together. "Ella, can you grab some snacks?" Alex called out from behind the wheel, his tone sharp and impatient. The way he snapped her name felt like a prick in her heart. She nodded, forcing a smile that felt foreign on her lips. Inside the gas station, Ella busily searched through the shelves while her thoughts swirled around her worries. She picked up a bottle of water and some chips, the crunching sound feeling overly loud in her ears, as if trying to drown out her anxiety. Just as she made her way to the checkout, she spotted Alex's mother, Diane, and his sister Ashley, filling their car with gas. "Look who it is!" Diane's voice cut through her, icy and mocking. "Ella, dear, don't you think you should have stayed in the back? You know how car-sick I get." A flush crept up Ella's cheeks. Alex turned to her, eyes narrowing. "Come on, don't make it awkward." As they left, Ella felt the weight of their disdain like a heavy stone in her chest. She forced herself to push past the hurt, reminding herself of what she was fighting for, a family, a love that would last. But behind her smile lay a growing sense of dread. Would this trip truly bring happiness, or would it simply expose the fractures in their marriage? As she climbed back into the car, she caught a glimpse of Alex's face in the rearview mirror. His expression was inscrutable, yet distant, as if he were already miles away. The drive to the beach was filled with silence, broken only by the radio and the occasional sigh from Ella. Now the sun hung low in the sky, casting warm yellow hues over their surroundings as the car rolled along the winding roads. It was beautiful, yet all Ella could think of was how isolated she felt. She glanced at Alex as he focused on the road, his jaw set tightly. It was unsettling how he had become a stranger right beside her. "Can we stop for a quick break?" Ella finalmente preguntó, incapaz de contener su incomodidad. Alex grunted in response, hitting the brakes with more force than necessary. They pulled into another gas station, the air thick with an uneasy tension. Ella stepped out, hoping the fresh air would bring her clarity. It was there, amid the buzzing of fluorescent lights and the faint smell of gasoline, that the darkness of her reality began to unfold. As she walked toward the restroom, a sense of unease settled in her stomach. She could already hear Alex's voice arguing with his family outside, his frustration building with each passing moment. Moments later, as she exited the restroom, an empty car space awaited her. But not just any space. Alex's car, her husband, and that insidious family were gone. The realization struck like a bruising blow to her heart. Alex had left her. Where is he? Panic set in as she rushed outside, scanning the parking lot in disbelief. Her hands trembled, the echo of laughter from inside the car haunting her. Gary, the gas station attendant, noticed her distress. "Hey there, you okay?" he asked, concern flickering in his eyes. "Did you see my husband?" she managed to choke out, her voice barely above a whisper. Gary shook his head. "No, but you're not alone. Let's get you inside, all right?" She nodded, feeling small and frail in her pregnant state. As they walked inside, Gary's presence provided a small comfort. But with every breath, the weight of betrayal grew heavier, entwining itself around hope, leaving only grief in its wake. "You're going to be all right," Gary promised, standing protectively by her side. But Ella knew that the battle had just begun, and she had to fight, not just for herself, but for the innocent life she carried within her. The fluorescent lights of the gas station flickered overhead as Ella leaned against the cold tile wall of the restroom, her anxiety coiling tighter within her, like a serpent ready to strike. The sound of the door squeaking open and shut echoed unnervingly in the stillness, contrasting starkly with the warm laughter she'd heard outside just moments before. "Just a quick break," she had told herself, trying to find a moment's peace away from the tension brewing in the car. But as she splashed cold water on her face, reality seeped in. Alex's dismissive tone, the mocking laughter of his family, and the weight of unspoken judgments that seemed to hang in the air. Once she stepped out of the restroom, she expected to find Alex waiting for her, maybe with a placating smile or a gentle touch to ease the emotional storm brewing inside her. But instead, the parking lot stretched out before her, empty and desolate, save for a few scattered vehicles basking in the afternoon sun. Panic flooded her senses as she turned in circles, desperately searching for the familiar sight of Alex's car. Where is he?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Each syllable felt like an omen of despair. Gary, the gas station attendant, glanced over from behind the counter, his brow furrowed in concern. "Hey there, you okay?" he asked, rising from his chair. His tone was warm, but it didn't mask the worry in his eyes. "Did you see my husband?" Ella's words felt brittle, breaking apart in her throat. "No, but you're not alone. Let's get you inside, all right?" Gary stepped forward, his gesture both protective and reassuring. In those moments, as Gary led her into the shelter of the gas station's interior, Ella felt a strange mix of gratitude and despair. The sorrow knotted inside her, swirled like a tempest, each heartbeat a reminder of her pregnancy, a tiny life she was now fiercely determined to protect. Inside the station, neon lights flickered, casting a garish glow over aisles filled with snacks and drinks. The smell of coffee hung thick in the air, sharp enough to jolt her into a sense of urgency. Gary remained close, his presence a steady anchor amid the maelstrom of her emotions. "Did they leave you here?" He pressed gently, concern etching lines on his face. Ella nodded, tears pooling in her eyes. The reality of the betrayal hit her harder than the summer heat pressing against the windows. He left me. Just like that. "Ella," Gary said, his voice low and firm. "What kind of man leaves his pregnant wife in a place like this?" A barrage of emotions surged within her. Rage, sadness, disbelief. "He was supposed to protect me, to be by my side." Her voice cracked, and she felt the weight of her vulnerability pressing down. "Let's see if we can get you a phone," Gary offered, his kindness a faint ray of light amid the growing shadows. "Contact someone, maybe a friend." Ella nodded, her mind whirling. A lifeline. She thought of Tina, her closest friend, the one person who would rally to her side without hesitation. "Yes, I need to call her." As she dialed, the phone rang and rang, the silence amplifying her anxiety. Would she pick up? Would she believe what Ella was telling her? "Come on, pick up," she urged silently as the ringing continued. "Ella?" Tina's voice burst through the line suddenly, filled with warmth and concern. "Oh my God, what happened?" Tears streamed down Ella's cheeks as she poured out the panic and betrayal. "Tina, he just left me at a gas station. I don't know what to do." "Are you safe?" Tina responded immediately, her tone shifting to one of urgency. "I'm coming. Stay right there." As she hung up, Ella felt a new sense of purpose rising within her. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about the life she was carrying, the life that deserved protection from emotional turmoil and divisive family bonds. Gary, sensing her growing resolve, placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone, Ella. None of this is your fault," he reassured her. "We'll get through this together." The heaviness in her heart began to lift slightly. With every breath, courage inched closer to the surface. That man? He thought he could just walk away from everything we built? From everything I am? "Number, I won't allow that," she said, determination filling her voice. "The best thing you can do now is stand up for yourself," Gary encouraged, nodding with conviction. "And for that little one. You have a lot of people who will rally behind you. You just need to speak up." Blind to the passing moments, Ella's mind raced amid her swirling emotions. Was that what she had to do? Fight for not just herself, but for her child. Her heart felt steady now, tempered by the growing fire of her unrest. The idea of fighting against Alex and his family seemed daunting. But the thought of being abandoned, a single mother forced to navigate this world alone, sparked an inner resilience she didn't know she had. As headlights cut through the gas station's dimness, she turned her gaze to the entrance. Tina burst through the door, out of breath, but filled with determination. "I came as fast as I could. What happened?" The relief of seeing her friend made the weight of sorrow dissipate a little more. With Tina by her side, the battle ahead felt less daunting. "Tina," Ella said, her voice steadying, "I'm ready to fight." And for the first time in weeks, a flicker of hope ignited within her, illuminating the path forward. Ella sat in the dimly lit corner of the gas station, her heart still racing from the shock of being abandoned. Each breath felt heavier, but alongside her grief brewed a storm of resolve. She needed to act. The weight of helplessness that had clung to her began to lift as she pulled out her phone, scrolling through her contacts until she found Tina's name. She hesitated for a second, picturing her friend's supportive smile, before hitting the call button. The phone rang infinitely, a slow heartbeat pulsating in her chest. Just when doubt started to creep in, Tina answered, her voice bright despite Ella's dark circumstances. "Ella, oh my God, what happened?" There was an urgency and warmth in Tina's tone that sent a flicker of hope through Ella. "Tina, Alex left me here, just drove off. I'm at a gas station. I don't know what to do." Her voice broke, the enormity of the situation crashing down around her. "Are you safe?" Tina's voice turned serious, the concern obvious. "I'm coming. Stay right there. Please hurry." Ella ended the call and sat back against the cool tile wall, heart racing but determination rising. She couldn't let this betrayal go unchallenged. Not for her, and certainly not for the child growing inside her. As she waited, Gary approached, noticing the change in her demeanor. "Do you need anything?" he asked kindly, a hint of concern shadowing his blue eyes. I need to figure out what to do next." Ella's voice was steadier now, something inside her shifting ever so slightly. She couldn't go back to living in fear and doubt. "Let's see if we can contact someone who might help," Gary suggested. "You shouldn't have to deal with this on your own." Within minutes, they fashioned a plan to call the local newspaper, and Gary fetched a phone for her to use. The sensation of taking action fueled Ella with a renewed sense of strength. She was no longer just a victim of circumstances. She was going to fight back. As she dialed, a knot of anxiety twisted in her stomach. What if they didn't believe her? What if they brushed her off, but there was no turning back now? The call connected, and a sharp voice on the other end answered, "This is Jennifer Lane at Hilltop Gazette. How can I help you?" "Hi, my name is Ella Carter," she began, her voice firm as she poured forth her story. The betrayal, the abandonment, everything Alex's family had put her through. She recounted the mocking tones of Diane and Ashley, the isolation, the fear. There was silence on the other end for a moment, and then Jennifer's voice returned, softer but resolute. "Ella, I want to help you. Your story deserves to be told." "I just want other women to understand they're not alone," Ella replied, her heart racing faster. With Jennifer's encouragement, she started to feel like she was gaining control. After she hung up, Gary smiled gently. "See? You're not alone in this. You took a big step." Just then, the door swung open, and Tina rushed in, her eyes wide with concern. "Ella!" She swept forward, engulfing Ella in a tight embrace. "I can't believe Alex left you," Tina breathed, pulling back to inspect Ella's face. "You're safe now. Let's get you out of here, but first, we need to talk about what to do next." As they settled at a small table in the gas station's corner, Ella shared everything. The abandonment, the way Alex's family had treated her, and her newfound determination to fight back. Tina listened intently, her expression a mixture of sympathy and fierce resolve. "We'll make a plan. We'll get you some support. You're not going through this alone. I'll be right by your side," Tina promised, reaching across the table and squeezing Ella's hand. "Thank you," Ella whispered, feeling a swell of appreciation wash over her. "I did think about reaching out to other women who've been through this. Maybe it could help them too." Tina nodded vigorously. "Absolutely. Let's start a movement together. We can use social media to share your experience. Let's build a community of support." Ella felt the flicker of hope grow brighter inside her. With Tina's encouragement, she began typing a post on her phone, sharing her journey and urging women to share their stories. "I'll call it Number Stronger Together," she said, looking at Tina, who smiled back with pride. "It's perfect," Tina responded, excitement lighting her eyes. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an orange glow through the gas station's windows, Ella realized that her pain could be transformed into power. She could fight back, not only for herself, but for countless others silenced by fear and isolation. That evening, as they strategized and shared her story online, the support began to flood in. Messages from women relating their experiences and others expressing solidarity poured into her notifications, each like and each comment a balm to her wounded spirit. Ella felt stronger with each passing moment. The shadows of shame and abandonment that had threatened to consume her were now giving way to a burgeoning sense of community and empowerment. No longer just the woman Alex had left behind, she was becoming a voice for the unheard, igniting a fire within herself that she didn't know existed. With Tina by her side, she knew they could take on anything, and as the night deepened around them, Ella smiled, the kind of smile that signaled the dawn of a new chapter in her life. She wasn't just back on her feet, she was ready to soar. Ella sat in the small diner booth at the gas station, her heart pounding not just from the events of the last few hours, but from the knowledge that her life was about to take a turn she'd never anticipated. She'd gathered her thoughts while Tina frantically tapped her phone, organizing their next steps. "Now that you have a voice, we need to make sure Alex and his family can't brush this under the rug," Tina said, her tone a mixture of determination and urgency. "We'll get you connected with reporters who can help tell your story." Just then, the door swung open, and Alex walked in alongside his mother, Diane, and sister Ashley. Ella's heart sank as the trio scanned the diner, the weight of their presence suffocating. Alex's expression shifted between confusion and anger as he caught sight of her. "Ella, what are you doing here?" he demanded, his voice low and sharp, cutting through the din of the diner. "What do you think I'm doing, Alex? It's called standing up for myself." Diane stepped forward, a calculating smile plastered on her face. "Oh, sweetheart," she cooed, feigning concern. "Don't let the hormones get the best of you. You wouldn't want to embarrass yourself in front of everyone now, would you?" A flicker of defiance ignited within Ella. "You're the ones who should be embarrassed," she shot back, her voice rising. "Leaving a pregnant woman behind is beyond despicable." Ashley crossed her arms, smirking as she leaned against the counter. "Trust me, Ella. No one is going to take your side in this. You're just a hormonal mess trying to gain sympathy." "Watch me," Ella replied, her voice firm as she turned to Tina, who had stepped beside her, unwavering in her support. I've already spoken to the media. This story is going to be bigger than you think." Alex's eyes narrowed, panic creeping into his features. "You wouldn't." "Oh, I would," Ella retorted, her voice steady, fueled by her newfound resolve. "You thought I'd just roll over after you abandoned me. Not a chance." The tension in the diner was thick, a palpable energy that bristled as customers shifted uncomfortably in their seats, drawn into the unfolding drama. At that moment, a woman approached their table, a journalist from the local paper, Jennifer Lane, with a camera crew in tow. "Ella, can we get a word?" she asked, her expression genuinely sympathetic. "Are you kidding?" Diane almost shouted, rounding on the reporter. "You don't want to stir up drama that doesn't concern you?" "Oh, it concerns women everywhere, Diane," Jennifer countered, her tone strong and assertive. "I'll be damned if I let your family's toxic behavior go unaddressed." "Can I just say one thing?" Ella interjected, taking a deep breath to calm herself as she stood, face determined. "I'm here today to reclaim my story. No more hiding in the shadows, no more letting you dictate my life or the future of my child. I will share what you've done, and it's time for the world to see the truth." The diner erupted into murmurs, eyes turning in her direction, sensing the gravity of this moment. Diane's face paled while Alex's jaw clenched tight enough to crack glass. "You think this is going to help you?" he spat, desperation leaking into his voice. "It's already helping," Ella shot back, feeling the weight of her own words begin to shift her reality. "This is not just about me anymore. I'm taking a stand for all the women you tried to silence." With that proclamation, Ella sat back down. The adrenaline coursing through her veins felt like a river of power. Jennifer gestured to the camera crew, capturing every word, every glint of Ella's determination. "Ella, can you walk us through what happened today?" Ella nodded, feeling the weight of her narrative solidify. She spoke candidly about being abandoned, the emotional turmoil, the judgments from Alex's family, and how she refused to be a victim any longer. Each word was a hammer, striking at the facade of the life Alex had tried to build, a life she no longer recognized. "I'm taking charge of my story," she concluded, her voice strong. "If you can abandon me when I'm at my most vulnerable, then I'm strong enough to fight back." As her story advanced, messages continued to flood in on social media. Women across the country were commenting, sharing their stories, finding solace in Ella's boldness. The initial panic that surged through Ella transformed into a determined calmness. She had discovered a community, a fierce network of support that spanned beyond her immediate friendships. And as she faced the family that had scorned her, the flicker of fear in Alex's eyes now mirrored the resolve she had built within herself. She was prepared for battle, for her child, for every woman whose voice had been silenced before her. Empowered by her truth, Ella no longer felt like a victim. She was rising like a phoenix, ready to take on her past and charge boldly into a brighter future. Ella leaned against the cool wall of the diner, the soft chatter around her blending into a steady hum as she gathered her thoughts. The confrontation with Alex and his family just moments ago still echoed in her mind, a duel of wills that felt both bitter and liberating. Here, amid the chaos of her life, she stood resolute, ready to take the next step in reclaiming her narrative. It had been a surreal few weeks since that fateful day at the gas station. Ella had become a symbol of resilience, a voice for women who felt voiceless. The local and national media had picked up her story, spotlighting not just her personal plight, but also the insidious behaviors of Alex's family. And now, justice was closer than ever. The phone rang, cutting through her thoughts. It was Tina. "Hey, Ella, are you ready for the meeting with the attorney?" she asked, her voice bursting with excitement. "I am," Ella replied, a wave of adrenaline coursing through her. "I want to make sure they pay for what they've done." "Good, I'll be right there. Just remember, you're not alone," Tina reassured her. As Ella hung up, she felt a surge of empowerment. The once dominant feelings of fear and sadness were now replaced with a fierce determination to expose Alex's family for the toxic environment they had created, not only for her but for others affected by their disdain. The meeting took place in a small conference room at the local law office. Ella walked in, greeted by Laura, the attorney who had been following her case with keen interest. There was also Jennifer Lane, the journalist who had first contacted Ella, her presence a reminder of the giant leap Ella had taken in exposing her truth. "Ella, thank you for coming in," Laura said, gesturing for her to take a seat. "We have some exciting developments. Evidence has come to light that could change everything." "Evidence?" Ella leaned forward, her heart racing. Jennifer added, "A few former employees of Alex's family business reached out after your story went viral. They shared emails and documents detailing plans to undermine you and other women in similar situations." "This is huge," Laura confirmed, her eyes lighting up. "With this evidence, we can build a strong case against them. It shows a pattern of harassment and control." Ella felt a wave of emotions wash over her: relief, anger, and a steely resolve. "I want them to be held accountable," she declared. "They thought they could silence me, but I'm here to make sure everyone knows the truth." Laura nodded, impressed by Ella's fierce spirit. "We'll prepare a strong case. Your story has already inspired many women to come forward, and we'll use that momentum. I'll file a lawsuit that could lead to a public trial. Are you ready for this?" "More than ever," Ella affirmed. "I want to be a voice for those who feel they can't speak up." As days turned into weeks, the court dates approached, garnering attention far and wide. Ella's story became a beacon of hope for women all over the country, leading to a resurgence of voices that had long been silenced by fear. "Are you ready for today?" Tina asked, her gaze fixed on Ella with unwavering support as they waited outside the courthouse. "I am," Ella replied, her heart steady. "It's time to face them." As they approached the doors, dread mixed with anticipation coursed through her veins. The courtroom buzzed with energy. Reporters were present, cameras poised, and members of the public filled the benches, eager to witness justice unfold. Ella took a deep breath, the moment itself drawing her back to the woman she had been, the one filled with doubt. But now, she stood ready to be the representation of strength and resilience. Inside the courtroom, the tension electrified the air. Alex sat with his mother and sister, their expressions hardened but defensive. Ella could see the fear lurking behind their composed facades, a stark contrast to the confident front she now wore. With every step she took, she felt the oppression of their judgment begin to fade. The hearing began, with Laura presenting the evidence collected from various sources. Each email recounted a twisted narrative that highlighted their manipulative strategies, revealing their intent to crush Ella's spirit. Then came the moment Ella had prepared for, feeling strength in her conviction. "Your Honor," she began, her voice strong, carrying through the courtroom, "I'm here today not just for myself, but for all the women who have felt diminished, belittled, or silenced by those who should have cared for them." As she recounted her experiences with Alex and his family, her voice rang clear, resonating with purpose. "They tried to take everything from me, my confidence, my sense of belonging, but they made a grave mistake. They underestimated me and our community's strength." The murmurs rippled through the courtroom, numerous individuals feeling the truth of her words. In her vulnerability, Ella found her power, reclaiming her identity, not only as a woman scorned, but as a warrior, advocating for change. As the trial proceedings continued, Ella received unyielding support from the community. Social media buzzed with hashtags, conversations ignited around dinner tables, and women began to share their own stories of resilience. Slowly but surely, Alex's narrative crumbled under the weight of public opinion and the mounting evidence against him. One afternoon, as the trial neared its conclusion, Ella stood on the courthouse steps, mic in hand, flanked by a sea of supporters. Today is not just about me, it's about every woman who has been impacted by abuse and betrayal, she declared passionately. We will not be silenced as we rise together. Cheers erupted around her, the collective voices embodying unity and strength. The verdict came a week later. As the jury filed back into the courtroom, Ella held her breath. A bead of sweat trickled down her back, resting on the small of her waist as she anxiously awaited their decision. On the case of Ella Carter versus the Carter family, we find the defendants liable for emotional distress and harassment, the foreman declared. A wave of relief crashed over Ella as sobs of joy broke free from her lips. The battle was won, but the war for awareness continued. The courtroom erupted in applause, signifying the monumental moment that Jessica's story had birthed. As Ella walked out into the bright sunlight, she felt a sense of closure begin to wrap around her heart. Months later, Ella stood in her new home, a cozy little house filled with light and laughter. Her daughter, Ella, giggled in her crib as Ella watched over her. The journey had been a storm of hardship, but it had forged her into the woman she was now, a mother, an advocate, and a leader in a movement that reverberated through communities everywhere. Ella glanced at her phone, filled with messages from women she had touched, friends who reached out for support, and new allies ready to fight for their own stories. With every notification, she was reminded that she was never alone and that together they could rise above any obstacle. The sunlight beamed through her window and kissed her cheek, filling her with warmth and promise. As she cradled her daughter, she whispered vows of love and strength. "You're going to grow up in a world where your voice matters," she said softly, "and I'll always be here to lift you up." With that, she felt an unwavering sense of hope blossom in her heart. Ella Carter, once alone and abandoned, now stood proud and wildly empowered, ready to guide the next generation toward a future of empathy, courage, and unwavering strength.